Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to our channel, Pakistan Zindabad, the next world superpower.
It's great to be back.
Today, we have a really fascinating deep dive for you. This is episode 45, and we are going deep into the analysis presented in the exceptional book, The Generals of Pakistan, written by Mr. Zaheer Ahmad Meer.
And this is such an essential topic because we're not just, recounting history here. We're actually tracking the creation of a really sophisticated national defense mechanism.
Exactly.
The source material gives us a kind of blueprint for how two foundational agencies, the ISI and the MI, evolved under just immense pressure.
And they didn't just adapt, did they?
No, not at all. They fundamentally transformed. They went from being, post-independence field units to this unified, digitally integrated, and frankly, globally relevant force.
So our mission today is pretty laser focused. We're tracing the precise historical transformations, those specific organizational shifts, and crucially, the technological leaps that built Pakistan's current intelligence infrastructure.
And we want to understand the strategic implications of that deep digital integration.
Right. Because this isn't just a story about spy agencies. It's a look at how specific, dramatic, and often externally driven conflicts. I mean, you're talking about the Afghan jihad, the Cold War proxy battles, the chaos after 9/11. These things didn't just test the nation. They fundamentally redefined its national intelligence capabilities for the modern age.
It's absolutely critical to frame this evolution correctly for you, the listener.
Yeah.
These transformations, they weren't gradual, incremental changes driven by some bureaucratic policy.
No, they were reactive.
Existential. They were rapid responses that forced this large-scale, sometimes brutal modernization, and that pushed the intelligence state into spheres that were completely outside their original mandates from the 50s.
Fears like what?
Things like comprehensive cyber defense, advanced biometric data management, predictive analytics, things they wouldn't have even dreamed of back then.
Okay, let's unpack this. How did these foundational agencies, the ISI and the MI, become the architects of a modern digital surveillance state? How did they move from relying on human sources in the mountains to being sophisticated users of AI and secure blockchain data systems?
Well, to get there, you have to start at the beginning.
Right. We need to understand that initial separation of powers, the original design goals of these two pillars.
Yeah.
The insight from Mr. Meer's book, The Generals of Pakistan, is so clear on this. Right after independence, Pakistan built two very distinct complementary intelligence pillars. And for anyone diving into this topic, you have to understand the functional distinction between the ISI and the MI. It's the absolute first step.
It is.
So let's start with the big one, the ISI, the Inter-Services Intelligence. What was its initial foundational purpose? What was its role supposed to be?
So the ISI's mandate was, from day one, primarily outward-facing. It was high-level, it was strategic. Its purpose was all about protecting national security in the broadest possible sense.
Which means
Foreign intelligence gathering and critically aiding high-level foreign policy decision-making. You have to remember the context. This is a new nation, the borders aren't entirely secure, and there are significant external threats just looming.
So if we're looking at those very early functions, we're not talking about tracking internal crime or anything like that, are we?
No, not at all. This was about strategic foresight. They were focused on gathering battlefield intelligence and monitoring hostile networks outside the country.
With an obvious focus, I imagine.
An obvious and primary emphasis on India-focused military and espionage threats, especially along those disputed borders. This immediately established the ISI as the external, the strategic agency.
Okay.
Its core mission was counter-espionage against foreign intelligence operations and just ensuring Pakistan's survival on that big geopolitical chessboard. The early emphasis was all on identifying and neutralizing threats trying to get into the country from the outside.
That makes perfect sense. It was designed to provide that macro-level intelligence, the kind you need for national survival. Does the book detail any specific early operations that kind of solidified this external role?
It definitely highlights the early focus on strategic counterintelligence in major world capitals and regional flashpoints. This was about establishing a presence to understand international intentions.
Intentions regarding what?
regarding things like Kashmir, of course, but also water treaties, border stability. This outward focus really set the entire trajectory for its later global expansion. ISI was built to be the nation's radar for external strategic threats.
And that's why it quickly expanded into things like signal intelligence.
Exactly. SIGINT and diplomatic monitoring became crucial as it matured.
But that brings us to the counterpoint, doesn't it? We have the MI, military intelligence. Now, the name might lead you to think it's just a smaller ISI, but the operational distinction is profound.
It's night and day.
So if the ISI is looking across the border, where is the MI focusing its resources?
The MI is the necessary complement. It's built on completely different principles. If the ISI is the nation's shield facing the outside world, MI is the Army's own rigorous internal guardian,
The immune system.
the immune system of the military structure itself. Its initial purpose was strictly internal security intelligence, but within the military establishment.
So their domain isn't the geopolitical chessboard, it's the operational integrity of the military itself. So what are the day-to-day granular tasks that really define the MI's mission?
They are absolutely critical, but very focused. We're talking about deep vetting of military personnel
To assure loyalty.
to ensure loyalty and prevent compromise either from internal actors or foreign recruitment. They were responsible for safeguarding cantonments and bases, which are massive, complex areas.
And operational secrecy, I assume.
Critically ensuring operational secrecy, they are the gatekeepers. The book really emphasizes that MI is there to prevent internal security threats, things like potential mutinies, infiltration attempts, information leaks, from escalating into a full-blown national crisis.
That distinction is so incredibly key, isn't it? ISI is looking for external threats, planning attacks, or trying to destabilize foreign policy, while MI is looking for internal weaknesses.
Leakage, subversion, intelligence failures that stem from within that massive military establishment.
It's a completely different set of skills required for those two missions.
It requires a level of internal monitoring and a kind of forensic diligence that the ISI generally doesn't get involved in. I mean, imagine the scale of the organization MI has to protect.
It's huge.
Hundreds of thousands of personnel, massive infrastructure, sensitive operational deployments, a complex chain of command, preventing infiltration, ensuring the loyalty of every single soldier and officer, maintaining physical security across all those bases is just paramount.
And Mr. Meer's argument is that one can't function without the other.
He suggests that without MI effectively maintaining the integrity of the military structure, the ISI could not effectively execute its external missions. They're two sides of the same operational coin. Stability relies on that strict division of labor.
So the analogy really holds up. ISI is the diplomatic and foreign operations arm, doing covert ops and gathering strategic global intelligence. MI is the Army's internal guardian, making sure the foundation doesn't crumble from within.
Precisely. And as the ISI matured through the 60s and 70s, we see the foundation being laid for its future strategic weight. They moved beyond just simple battlefield intelligence
To what?
to comprehensive foreign intelligence operations with real global reach. They started expanding their station presence across Europe, the Middle East, key strategic hubs. This included developing sophisticated counterterrorism and counterespionage functions.
And this is where the influence networks come in.
Yes, critically, establishing and maintaining these long-term influence networks, particularly in volatile regions like Afghanistan and Kashmir.
And establishing those networks, that's classic strategic statecraft, isn't it? It's about positioning yourself to react to future changes. And that diplomatic intelligence support role is often the unseen side of things.
It's the edge that policymakers need. It's not just about spies. It's about giving policymakers the intelligence advantage they need to negotiate effectively, to anticipate global shifts, to understand the real intentions behind what foreign governments are saying.
And their covert operations during the Cold War must have solidified that reputation.
Absolutely. The agency's involvement in covert ops, particularly during the early stages of those Cold War proxy conflicts, solidified their reputation as a capable, non-aligned actor. That early foundation is why the source material doesn't mince words.
It claims the ISI evolved into one of the world's most effective intelligence agencies.
And that effectiveness comes directly from that early, outward-facing strategic mandate and its willingness to engage in high-stakes geopolitical operations far outside its immediate borders.
It's a fascinating synthesis. You have the ISI focused on projecting power and information externally, and MI diligently focused on keeping the internal machinery secure and sound. This duality, this clear separation of duties, is what allowed them to handle what came next.
Yes, because history ramped up in 1979, and they had to handle unprecedented international pressures without collapsing from within.
And that brings us right to the narrative pivot point. The moment where those foundational roles we just discussed were tested and completely transformed by global conflict.
Hmm.
This transformation starts with the one event that truly globalized the ISI and vaulted it onto the world stage: the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in
If
1979.
this was the crucible, there's no other word for it, the Afghan jihad running from 1979 to 1989 was the catalyst that shifted the ISI from a significant regional intelligence player to a central logistical and operational hub in a massive, internationally funded proxy war.
The source is pretty clear on this point.
The book explains that the 1979 Soviet invasion transformed the ISI forever. It dramatically increased its scale, its scope, and critically, its budget and its resources.
The sheer scale of the operation is something we need to get into. This wasn't just monitoring a border anymore. This was coordinating a global effort funded by major world powers.
Hmm.
How did the source describe that operational expansion in terms of actual capability building?
Well, the necessity of managing a covert war of this magnitude, it led to this unprecedented organizational expansion and technological acquisition. It involved intense, complicated coordination with the U.S. CIA, Saudi intelligence, and a whole host of other global agencies that wanted to support the Mujahideen.
So ISI suddenly becomes the central clearinghouse.
The logistical and operational clearinghouse for literally billions of dollars in military aid and material.
Okay, let's unpack the logistics, because this is where the real transformation happened, right? Beyond just strategic alignment. What specific types of logistics did the book detail that ISI had to manage to justify that legendary status claim?
The book paints a picture of a massive undertaking that stretched the agency to its absolute limits. I mean, we are talking about designing and securing specific supply routes
Through some of the toughest terrain on Earth.
through rugged, tribal, and often hostile territory to ferry arms and equipment deep into Afghanistan. This involved coordinating disparate militia groups, many of whom had conflicting loyalties, and managing the financial conduits needed to pay fighters, handlers, and local tribal leaders.
So they were managing the entire pipeline.
The entire pipeline, receiving Stinger missiles and Soviet-era AKs, inventorying them, training fighters on how to use them, and then delivering them to the precise operational zones, often under heavy Soviet surveillance.
Managing that kind of arms flow and distribution network across that kind of terrain, it must require a completely new level of internal organization and trust.
Exactly. And this rugged, long-term remote operation fundamentally altered what the intelligence agency prioritized. The primary specialized capability they developed during this era was the evolution of superior human intelligence, humanette capabilities. In the mountainous and geographically challenging terrain of Afghanistan and the tribal areas, sophisticated signal intelligence or tech surveillance was often useless or just impractical.
So intelligence had to rely on local knowledge, on building deep trust with tribal networks, on achieving genuine, deep penetration into these operational areas.
Absolutely. The ability to run successful, sustained, and massive cross-border logistics and training operations purely through human networks in a conflict of that scale, that is what earned the ISI its legendary status, as Mr. Meer clearly outlines.
It must have dramatically expanded their regional influence.
It did, and it established them as masters of unconventional warfare support. The key takeaway here is that they created a network so effective that its structure became a permanent fixture of their operational architecture. It ensured their relevance continued long after the Soviets withdrew.
That's a powerful legacy forged in conflict. But like you said, history didn't stop there. Just over a decade later, another massive global event, 9/11, forced another entirely different strategic shift. The security focus transitioned dramatically from those mountainous regional conflicts to urban environments.
And this marked the definitive shift from, traditional geostrategic warfare against state actors to counterterrorism operations against highly mobile, decentralized, non-state actors.
The new battleground became the city.
The city, the marketplace, the densely populated urban sprawl. The old human structure, while still absolutely essential, was suddenly insufficient to handle threats that were hiding in plain sight in Karachi or Lahore.
Yeah.
This created an immediate and urgent technological necessity.
And this sounds like the point where the MI and ISI mandates really began to overlap and merge, because internal security in the cities suddenly became the primary national security threat.
That's it. The line between an external threat and an internal terrorist presence blurred entirely.
So the counterterrorism effort demanded rapid technological adoption.
Yes, the source details how both agencies were forced to adopt new technology-driven capabilities to handle these localized mobile threats. The tools were specific: sophisticated electronic surveillance systems and pervasive mobile signal tracking.
Let's elaborate on the mobile signal tracking. For our audience, the challenge isn't just listening to a call. It's tracking burner phones versus registered devices. It's tracking location metadata and doing all of that at scale in a busy city.
Right, and the shift required a huge investment in specialized interception and geolocation technology. The book suggests there was a rapid acquisition of systems capable of geolocating mobile devices in real time within city grids, regardless of whether the device was registered or not.
And that involved intense analysis of metadata.
Exactly. Who was calling whom, when, from where all, to map out militant networks where traditional physical surveillance would just fail because of the sheer density of the population. This capability became crucial for identifying communication patterns and meeting points.
And critically, counter-IED intelligence. IEDs became the signature weapon of urban militancy, didn't they? Causing massive casualties, widespread fear.
Analyzing the IED threat became a scientific intelligence discipline in its own right. This meant not just finding components, but analyzing the modus operandi, the detonation patterns, the timing, the sourcing logistics for specific explosive precursors.
And tying all that back to the communication intercepts.
Tying those material trails back, this required high-tech forensic and electronic capabilities, which meant building dedicated labs and training a new kind of personnel, people who were completely foreign to the intelligence agencies of the 1980s.
And the source says this was vital.
The source notes that this rapid operational integration with specialized forensic units and data analysis was what literally saved Pakistan from collapse. It dismantled the ability of militant groups to operate freely in the urban centers.
So this urban intelligence revolution, this rapid technological pivot after 9/11, it created the core technological infrastructure that would eventually be scaled up for the mass digital surveillance we're about to discuss.
It did. The necessity of higher tech solutions for internal security challenges fundamentally paved the way for the digital age integration. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that human expertise from the Afghan jihad, it didn't just vanish.
It integrated.
It integrated. So now you had deep human contacts providing initial leads, which were then rapidly confirmed, mapped, and exploited using these new electronic surveillance capabilities. This blended approach set the stage for the true cyber hybrid model.
That dual evolution, that mastery of human blending with these urgent electronic capabilities, it sets us up perfectly for the next phase, doesn't it?
It really does.
If post-9/11 created the need for electronic tools, the period from, say, 2015 onward saw the intelligence apparatus fully embrace the concept of a mass digital system. This is where Pakistan fully entered the digital intelligence age.
And Mr. Meer makes a very powerful assertion here. He says the digital state became Pakistan's new primary defense mechanism, its new shield.
And this goes way beyond just simple threat monitoring.
Oh, absolutely. This represents a commitment to pervasive, data-driven national control and security, often encompassing the entire citizenry. The strategy shifts from just reacting to threats to anticipating them through total data awareness.
Here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just about catching terrorists after the fact. It's about creating a holistic, data-driven picture of the entire nation, which enables predictive capabilities. So let's delve into the specific systems that the book identified as being deployed to achieve this fusion.
Well, the backbone of this whole shift is a massive multi-layered system of digital integration and identification. You start with the physical infrastructure, nationwide CCTV grids.
But these aren't just isolated cameras, are they?
No. They're integrated, centralized monitoring systems capable of feeding high-definition data into central command structures 24/7.
Which feed directly into the digital core. And this is where we need to talk about AnyDaro biometric integration. For our listener, AnyDaro is the National Database and Registration Authority. It manages virtually all citizen identity data.
And this is the critical defining component. Biometric data, fingerprints, facial scans, even iris scans, it's all fused with every other piece of digital identity information.
Like addresses, family links.
Addresses, family links, professional history, mobile device registration. The source specifically highlights the power of digital identity cross-matching and call record metadata analysis done on this national scale.
Okay, let's stop there and explore the operational friction. The critique often pointed out is we need to understand how ISI or MI get access to this civilian-held NADRA data. What legal or executive mechanisms does the source suggest allows for this?
Well, the book implies that through high-level executive and security directives, intelligence and military bodies were granted highly privileged access to these databases.
Or they were just embedded within the
In
structures?
some cases, yes.
Yeah.
Dedicated intelligence cells were physically embedded within NADR structures. This arrangement essentially bypasses the traditional separation between civilian data and security access. The scale of this data fusion is just immense.
So you're connecting static identity with dynamic behavior captured by surveillance.
Yes, and that level of integration allows the intelligence agencies to build a dynamic profile of virtually anyone. They can track associations, movements, communication in ways that traditional HUMINT or even 9/11 era SIGINT could never achieve on its own.
It allows for the rapid identification and classification of threats, whether they're physical militants or, increasingly, digital agitators and political activists.
And this torrent of fused data feeds directly into the ultimate goal: predictive policing using advanced AI.
How does that work in practice?
By analyzing the movement patterns from the CCTV, the biometric checkpoints, the communication metadata, sophisticated AI algorithms can flag behavioral anomalies. They can identify potential flashpoints or predict trouble areas before an incident even happens.
So it shifts the function of the state.
From reactive security to proactive anticipation and intervention.
So if the AI flags a person whose movement patterns suddenly deviate from their historical norms, or who starts communicating with individuals previously flagged by intelligence, that generates an instant operational alert.
Exactly. That's how the digital architecture enables that proactive capability.
And while this internal digital architecture is built for domestic security, the external defense mechanism is also becoming digitized, right? How is border security changing?
Well, the source highlights a revolutionary shift towards securing physical boundaries digitally. This is achieved through sophisticated border surveillance sensors. We're talking thermal and acoustic arrays and extensive drone monitoring networks.
So moving away from relying just on vulnerable static border posts.
It's about continuous, real-time, high-definition data flows, which, again, are instantly integrated back into that central digital system.
So if an unauthorized crossing is detected by a thermal sensor in a remote area,
A drone is deployed for visual confirmation, and the AI system instantly cross-matches any detected biometrics or communication signals against the national database. The time from detection to positive ID just collapses.
that seamless integration is the defining feature of this era, isn't it? It transforms the agencies from just processing isolated bits of information to running this vast, unified system of collection, synthesis, and prediction.
It's creating what the source calls a holistic, data-driven picture of the entire nation. And this level of data fusion is transformative for national security, offering unparalleled situational awareness.
But it fundamentally changes the dynamics between the state and the citizen.
It does. That old divide between domestic MI and foreign ISI becomes entirely moot when identity, location, and communication are all centrally tracked and analyzed in real time, serving a single overarching security objective.
And this rapid, massive deployment of integrated digital systems, it required a specific strategic vision at the very top, which leads us directly into the most modern phase of this evolution.
Yes, the move toward total technological supremacy.
So we've traced this evolution from basic field intelligence to a massive centralized digital state. But the story continues right into the present day. The most recent cutting-edge development is the move towards what the sword calls the cyber hybrid doctrine.
Championed by Field Marshal Asim Munir.
And this suggests that just having the digital systems isn't enough. The intelligence function needs to be fully unified and optimized for the modern multi-domain battlefield.
The cyber hybrid doctrine is a recognition that the digital and physical spheres are now, well, they're inextricably merged. Information warfare can be just as destabilizing as kinetic warfare.
So Field Marshal Munir's strategic move was to transform the intelligence establishment.
Into a unified structure, yes, suggesting a holistic approach where cyber warfare, digital defense, and physical security operate as a single, seamless entity. It's about merging the traditional human and field capabilities of the ISI and MI with the advanced tools of the 21st century.
That kind of shift couldn't have been easy. The book must touch on the bureaucratic hurdles. I mean, you have traditional ISI officers, veterans of the Afghan jihad, suddenly having to coordinate with young, specialized data scientists in these fusion centers.
That's a critical point the source addresses. Overcoming that inertia required a top-down mandate for organizational restructuring and mandatory cross-training.
And these fusion centers were key.
The doctrine required establishing these cross-agency intelligence fusion centers, not just as tech hubs, but as mandated operational headquarters, where personnel from diverse backgrounds, MI, ISI, police, cyber experts, are physically required to sit and share data seamlessly.
It eliminates the silo effect.
Exactly. It forces collaboration in a shared digital environment.
Okay, so let's focus on the highly technical, almost futuristic capabilities that define this current doctrine. We're moving beyond just simple mobile signal tracking now. What specific advancements characterize this new era?
It's defined by a new sophistication in data handling and verification. First, you have the extension of the existing infrastructure, advanced AI facial recognition grids.
So way beyond just basic CCTV analysis.
Far superior. This implies a highly sophisticated nationwide system capable of real-time identification and tracking. These systems can process low-resolution feeds, identify individuals in crowds, and track them across multiple city zones instantly.
And then the fascinating part for me, the emphasis on blockchain-secured intelligence archives. Why use blockchain? Isn't that for cryptocurrency? What's the intelligence utility there?
This is a highly strategic move aimed at information security and forensic integrity. Blockchain offers absolute security and immutability.
Meaning it can't be changed.
In an intelligence context, it means that historical data, operational reports, witness statements, crucial strategic documents, once they're recorded, they cannot be tampered with, altered, or deleted by anyone, internal or external. It establishes a tamper-proof, auditable chain of custody for all critical intelligence.
So it's not just about keeping secrets. It's about preventing denial operations or internal sabotage, where someone might try to erase evidence or alter the historical record.
Precisely. It stresses security and immutability as core values. This is essential for accountability, for forensic investigations, and for maintaining absolute trust in that centralized digital record, especially when intelligence gathering has such high-stakes political and military consequences.
And in an age of pervasive disinformation, the doctrine also addresses threats to information integrity, the establishment of deepfake detection labs.
This is a direct defense against sophisticated state-level influence operations. As digital warfare gets more complex, the ability to create convincing synthetic media, video, audio, text, it poses a direct threat to national stability, to public trust, to truth itself.
Deepfakes could incite riots.
Incite riots, discredit leaders, manufacture international incidents. Establishing dedicated labs to rapidly detect, forensically analyze, and counter deepfakes is a necessary defense mechanism against these targeted disinformation campaigns.
So, the doctrine is about internal operational security with blockchain, external defense with cybernetic units, and information security with deepfake detection. But there's one other major and unexpected inclusion. The integration of economic crime intelligence under SIFC, the Special Investment Facilitation Council. Why is a high-level security doctrine now focused on economic crimes? That seems unusual for an intelligence agency.
This is perhaps the clearest indicator of how the definition of national security has expanded and fundamentally changed in the digital age. Traditionally, economic crime might fall under civilian law enforcement.
Right.
However, today, large-scale financial fraud, smuggling, currency manipulation, economic destabilization, especially when it's facilitated by rapid digital transfers, are increasingly viewed as threats to the state's fundamental stability and sovereignty.
So it's seeing foreign actors or powerful domestic cartels using economic levers for sabotage. If illicit economic activity destabilizes foreign investment or drains state resources, it harms the state just as much as a terrorist attack.
That's the strategic calculation. By linking economic security directly to national security under SIFC, the intelligence agencies can leverage their sophisticated digital surveillance and mapping tools, the NADRA data, the communication intercepts, to track and dismantle these economic networks with a speed and force that civilian agencies just don't have.
It's a huge shift.
It signifies that intelligence agencies are now responsible for protecting the nation's economic assets and preventing sabotage, whether it comes from hostile foreign actors or domestic criminal enterprises.
So the synthesis, as the source points out, is aiming to build Pakistan's intelligence of the future. Fast, secure, digital. It's an intelligence architecture built not just for survival, but for supremacy in an age of total data awareness.
The overall picture is clear. This evolution, driven by conflict and necessity, has created an intelligence ecosystem that leverages every available technological tool, from biometrics and AI to blockchain and cybernetic warfare, to maintain comprehensive awareness across all dimensions of national existence.
And for you, the listener, the key point is just the speed of adoption. What took other nations decades integrating physical security with these massive data infrastructures was compressed into just over 40 years, driven almost entirely by successive existential conflicts. It's such a powerful narrative when you lay it all out chronologically, based on the insights from the generals of Pakistan. We started with the clear, separated foundational pillars of the ISI and MI, established in that post-independence era to handle basic battlefield and internal security.
And that structure was fundamentally tested and transformed by the global demands of the Afghan jihad, which forced the ISI to become a master of superior, large-scale human and international logistics coordination.
And that expertise was immediately tested again after 9/11, forcing that rapid tactical and technological pivot to urban environments, mandating the adoption of advanced electronic surveillance, mobile tracking, and IED forensics to counter those decentralized non-state actors.
Which then, that technological necessity, paved the way for the full-scale deployment of the digital surveillance state. The deep integration of NADRI biometric data, centralized CCTV grids, and AI predictive policing, creating that unified, holistic data picture.
And finally, that brings us to the cutting-edge strategic shift to the cyber hybrid doctrine under Field Marshal Meer, securing the future through immutable blockchain archives, proactive deepfake detection, and the radical inclusion of economic security under SIFC.
The core achievement here is the evolution from analog field intelligence units to digital age guardians, operating seamlessly on the ground, at the borders, and in cyberspace.
The implications are just profound. This massive organizational and technological transformation signals a permanent commitment to total data integration for national security, aiming for a perpetual state of comprehensive, proactive awareness.
It really does.
So what does this all mean for the future of national defense? The sources show us that in a world where data is power and where digital warfare is as real as kinetic conflict, national security is now inseparable from digital identity and technological supremacy. This is not just about keeping the country safe from traditional threats. It's about maintaining comprehensive control over the narrative, the economy, and the digital identity of every citizen within a secure, integrated ecosystem.
And this evolution is a case study in forced modernization driven by external pressure. But it does raise a final provocative thought for you to consider.
With that,
If the modern intelligence state is now secured by immutable blockchain archives and guided by predictive AI analyzing every communication record and biometric checkpoint, how does the definition of internal threat change when the government has access to all the data?
that's a powerful question.
And critically, how might digital dissent, legitimate criticism, or even simple privacy concerns be viewed or managed under such a technologically secure, integrated, and predictive system, where the anticipation of behavior precedes action? It fundamentally shifts the balance of power between the ruler and the ruled.
Something powerful to mull over as you digest the scale of this historical and technological transformation. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the insights from the generals of Pakistan. We'll see you next time.